Hey guys, this is David Wynn with the Mortgage Edge podcast brought to you by Click and Close Mortgage. Today I got a powerhouse realtor out of Plano, Texas. Mr. McKee, how are you?
Hey David, thanks for having me on and I appreciate it being here. I'm doing great, man. Would love if it would get a little bit warmer and stick around. I am so ready for spring.
Oh, me too, man. I think we're in Dallas and temperature's dropping this week, right? Started dropping yesterday, and it's supposed to be in the 20s today and tomorrow and stuff. So we'll see.
We gotta keep sending out that freeze warning in effect.
Right.
Let the tenants know. Let your landlords know. Keep that house winterized.
So let's talk about you in real estate, man. How big time. How long have you been a realtor?
So
A short period of time.
Full-time real estate sales started in June of 2020.
Uh-huh.
So that's when I left the engineering world. I had a really great job with a great company, traveled a lot. It allowed me to have a lot of freedom also because of with a W-2 salary, you can buy a place to live in. And we did that as a realtor. Now full-time, it's going on 5 years. So we are excited to be moving forward and getting our broker's license. That's coming up this year, one of the goals we got. So excited for that. And really what that means is you just have had the time and experience and the, you've done your continuing ed, you've done all your things, and you retest basically. And we're excited for that. So.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because that's a kind of unique background. You graduate college, got an engineering degree.
Yeah.
Hey, this just in, Jeff. Most people don't leave engineering to go do real estate because you can make a lot of money in engineering and
pretty constant, good, job.
Yeah.
W2, everybody's heard of the rich dad, poor dad. You go get a good job and you keep working for the next 60 years and then you retire and you're happy, And so I was like, man, I want to do something sooner rather than that, get a little bit more time freedom. And so, in real estate, you own your own business. So you really get to work as hard as you want, make as much money as you want. I really wanted to be in sales.
Right.
And so I had the personality, the likability and the curiosity to go out there and want to do sales and had already been doing real estate. So it just sounded like a good fit and made the leap at a really opportune time. Right when it was the COVID time, yeah. And rates at 3%, but people not knowing what to do. And man, some of the clients that I helped early on, they got some of the best deals that you'll ever imagine with like seller concessions, because houses were still sitting on the market even at 3% because people didn't know what was going on. And so we got after it. Everybody was in lockdown, but we still went out and showed, and people were driving here from, different states, and it was an amazing time. And now we've seen interest rates do what they've done over the last few years. And David, you probably know more better than I do. Like, what do we think rates are going to do? And,
here's what I tell everybody, and I come from even though I'm a mortgage guy, I don't sell the dream to everybody. I'm a realist. Real estate is a pillar of the American economy. It's one of the pillars, right? If real estate goes down, the American economy goes down. So real estate's not going anywhere. But affordability is a very big thing right now. You hear all these people, I'm a little bit older than you, but even above my generation. Hey, rates were in 18, 19% whenever I bought my first house in 1970. Well, yeah, they were 18, 19%. The houses were also $50,000.
Yeah, and that was a nice house, too.
And that was a nice house. You know what? So with that being said, the affordability of the house with an 18 or 19% interest rate didn't really matter because of the affordability. Now you're talking about 7 or 8 interest rate with an average house, a starter home at $450. My first house, I paid $210,000 for. That was a starter home. Back then, it was like $150 to $210. I worry about the kids today, or not really kids, the youth of America that wants to buy their first house.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you get into your first house at $450?
Oh man, that's a great question. For somebody who's, unless they've got a really, really good job, you're gonna be hard pressed to even afford $400,000 loan. And so you have to have a partner,
Yep.
find a partner, either a partner, a financial partner. If you're going to be investing in real estate, partner up with somebody, because it is, barrier of entry is tough, unless
Yeah.
you're doing owner occupied. And so if you have a partner in life that you're going to spend with, and if you and your partner get on the same page early on about, we should buy a house, 2-3 years down the line in y'all's relationship, you've built 5 years down, you've built tons of equity.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing too. You know what? You don't want to, because the alternative is you don't want to rent because rent is escalating. You know what?
Rents just keeps going up.
A $2,500 rent today is going to be 4,500 in 10 to 20 years.
And those people need more.
So
They need more space. They want backyards. They want you know. But here's one thing I will say though. I am always open to helping any price range on affordability, because affordability is an issue. And
yeah,
there are houses out there that people can afford. And so I want the audience to hear, if you want to refer, clients on the lower end of the median home price, McKee Realty team will happily assist, because we believe in educating and empowering those people to go in and buy a house. And there's programs out there. I think, David, you've mentioned a couple that, we can get people in for like 0 down, and still pretty good interest rates, comparably still, below national average over the last, however long it's been, 30-40 years since, they've been tracking that. So,
well, here's the deal. They're saying that interest rates are going to drop. They've been saying that for a couple of years, but they're predicting interest rates will drop in the next 2 to 3 years.
So here's we don't want to get too technical, but yeah. So interest rates still have to drop. Why? And if we go into a recession in maybe this upcoming year, we don't know if we are, but there's possible indications they'll lower interest rates to get the economy back going again. And that's what we'll see. But right now, can they do it? There's a lot of stuff still swinging around, out there that doesn't feel like we have total control over, but there is something we can have control over, and that's how we treat our clients, and that's how you treat your business. And if you let people know that they're making a decision that is gonna, sometimes it's a decision fatigue, not fatigue, but just like there's a block that they can't understand of owning a home and what that would mean to their future and their future generations, their kids, growing up in a steady place, a household, it makes a huge difference. And so we want that for everybody.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your investing career, because that's kind of how you got it. So you had a W-2 job. You decided you want to go buy your first house. Was your first house a primary house, and then you flipped it to an investment?
Yeah. So I learned a few things along the way. I jumped in on an investment early first, and went the traditional way of 20% down, because my living expenses were pretty low at the time, and then went and bought a primary to live in one side. And so that affected my loan type on the second buy, because when I went to go get the owner-occupied loan, they still said that I had already bought a property, so I didn't necessarily qualify. So I ended up going FHA on one of them, and that worked out great. The PMI stinks, but it still was a way to get in to a property, a very low down payment amount. If you look at it from an investor's perspective, the ROI on a down payment loan program is going to always be better than a higher down payment, because you get your cash on cash return quicker.
Right.
For the first year, yeah, you're living there, but you're going to always need a place to live. But after year 2, let's just say you come up with $10,000 in cash flow after all expenses and everything. $10,000 is what was left over on your sheet after you've run, paid your principal, paid your interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance. If it was only a 5% down payment on a $400,000 house, that's almost your money in 1 year, 2 years, and you got all your money back. So very quick return on your investment if you're going in with a low down payment program.
Yeah, and that's not a purchase.
But you have to give up some of your lifestyle potentially, because you're going to be moving, and you're going to end up moving again, You're also maybe going to live in an area that wouldn't be the best, but from an affordability perspective, to make it work for the investment, you might have to settle for like a C or B type neighborhood. You have to keep an open mind that you're not going to have that, brand new apartment feel, because when these apartment complexes build these communities, the developers, they want you to feel like you have the nicest stuff, like all brand new. And most of the time they're, never been lived in before apartments, but you have to change your mind a little bit and have maybe a conversation with yourself, maybe go through some journaling exercises or weigh the pros and cons with a T-chart, as having this nice granite in this fancy apartment gonna be worth it in 2 or 3, 4 years. I can change out the Formica countertop and put in granite a couple of years down the line, but you have to overcome that you're going to be living with maybe something that you're not quite as comfortable with. And so that's what I did. And definitely, it's still the best way to buy real estate is to own or occupy it. You got to and you have to do the math up front to know, like, after a year or two, if I rent this thing out, am I going to cover my expenses, or is it going to be an alligator? And you buy something, maybe you buy it because you have a lot of money and it's an alligator and you're thinking it's going to appreciate. Great. If you'd bought something in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years in the DFW, if you've been holding on to it, I mean,
65%. If you bought a property in DFW in the last 5 years, it's gone up 65%.
That is a big number. 65%.
That's a massive number.
So a lot of people will say, "Hey, I think I want to go invest in some cities in the Midwest because or somewhere with a different higher cash flow." But all investors will tell you in Texas you're going to miss the appreciation.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many people. There's just so many people moving here.
You just you live in a house for a couple of years, then you rent it out, and then you move to the next one. Is that how long are you gonna do that plan until?
Until things got to get steady. And eventually, the partner's probably not going to want to move anymore. Or you decide, you keep buying stuff with partners. That's another option. So after we did that for a little while, then we were like, well, we're going to run out of money on our own unless we start partnering with people. And so we would buy stuff under partnerships, and, you come up in advance what your plan is, how the property is going to be managed. And, are you going to sell it? Are you going to hold on to it? And partnerships work really well, as long as y'all, everybody communicates and participates.
Well, right now I know you have 5 doors, and you told me your goal is to have 10 doors. Is that right?
So I have 10, and
10.
We're moving forward on. So I've always been a buy turnkey purchase, where you don't have to do much. You got to put in a little bit of sweat equity to get it cleaned up enough to rent it for the price that you believe the market can support.
Yeah.
And the typical strategy has been to, buy something that has been poorly managed. And so you can go in there and you can reestablish the property, whether there's been deferred maintenance, and then there's, bad management of tenants, or like, how the taxes have been handled with the county, going in and trying to, slice away some expenses and raise your income. That's how you can stabilize a property, and then either hold on to it or sell it to the next person with maybe some cash. A lot of this stuff is being done with financing. But what we're looking to do now is in the beginning of our full-time real estate sales and investing, we were sending out a lot of postcards, and we really should start doing that again. And buying lots. So we bought some lots, and this year the goal is to try to develop one of them. So the communication is in place with the city and the builder. So if anybody has any tips or tricks for this, we're building from the ground up on a lot we own, and we're going to be putting hopefully 4 units on this. It's zoned for apartments, but the minimum requirement is you have to have 1,500 square feet per unit, and it's a 6,000 square foot lot. And so we can put 4, but then so the challenge becomes, what about parking? So the city has a code specification that for every single unit, you have to have 2 parking spots. It just seems bogus to me. But that's what they want. And so that potentially limits how much space that we're going to have footprint available to build. But that's going to be great. And so financing options, you're going to get on that kind of deal, you're going to get more like a commercial construction loan. And you'll have draws as you do the foundation. Then, you get the draw for that and pay the contractor. And once you've got it, again, stabilized, rented, we'd probably refinance into like a 30-year fixed. And
Are you planning on moving into it, or
no? This one's just going to be straight up development. Not going to move into it. That one's just going to be straight up development, and put. It's going to provide some more affordable housing to people. So the rents out there probably going to be about $800 to $1,000, depending on the size. And that should be good. And so instead of going and buying a property, we want to create our own equity by building. A lot of people do that by renovating stuff, but on this one, we're going to try to build.
Do you have a group that you're with, or?
That's just me, man. The McKee Realty team. It's me. And just from different networking events and different. I go duck hunting with a group of guys every year, and one of them, he's a contractor, and he builds luxury high end stuff from the ground up. But he said they would do it, rental grade. And so I have that contact. They got me in touch with the architect, and then I just been building the relationships with the city manager and the development manager. And it just happened to turn out that this was in a neighborhood empowerment zone. So there's getting a lot of great tax abatement benefits, and then they're going to waive a lot of the permitting fees and connection tap fees. But yeah, this has been 10 years since 2013 when I graduated. It's been about almost over a decade process, and I'd like to say that I grow my business and life, at a slower pace. A lot of people want to go in there and they want to, get 100 doors in a year and get a bunch of, seller finance notes and do a lot of stuff. And there's, nothing wrong with that. But kind of what I think we talked about on the phone before is like, what does wealth really mean? Is like, are you going to be heavily stressed, or are you going to be having, a lifestyle where you can, go do the things that are, hobbies for you. But you got to start early, and you got to stay consistent. And when the time comes, you'll know when you need to take action. The cards will kind of come together, and that's kind of how this feels with this property we're going to try to develop. But yeah, if anybody wants to know, like, how do you analyze a deal? Like, Jeff, how do you analyze a deal? We did a lunch and learn, and I say go ahead and put it on the calendar for the first week of March for anybody who's listening, at the original Pancake House, first Tuesday of the month. And we analyzed over 500 properties, over the time of 10, 15 years. And so after you do that, you kind of get a repetition, and you learn that, what's a good deal and what's not a good deal. And would you rather just put your money in a, now it's not 5% anymore. It used to be a 5% bond, but it's more like 4 money market account. You just only 4% interest money market account, no cares at all, nothing to worry about, no toilets and bad tenants. Or do you want to take that money and you want to put it somewhere that's going to potentially have a 4% gain plus the cash flow, plus the tax benefits? Well, can I get that 4% to maybe 10%? Then I'll take the leap with the money, with the risk, because there is a lot of risk involved in real estate and real estate investing. But there's nothing better than owning your home. That's the American dream.
Right.
Right.
Right. For sure.
And
So you right now deal with as a realtor and part of the McKee team, but you're a realtor.
Mhm.
That's your day job. That's what you do primarily, on top of investing. But I think we talked about this. 60% of your clients are investors.
Yeah, it's probably about 60% are investors, and um, the rest are probably more like first-time homeowners,
Yeah,
and then sellers. Sellers are great. We love sellers. And so the investors, they want one thing. They want to make a good, purchase. And some
yeah,
investors want different things. Everybody wants something different. Somebody doesn't care as long as it's $100 a month cash flow. Others are like, it's got to be this much. Um, and a lot of people will account for, vacancies and maintenance and all these different things. I just like to simplify it. And I tell people a lot of the time is you don't have to put your money in the stock market because people always need a place to live. But, David, to your point, real estate is the, foundation of the American economy, like you said. And so, we've seen what happened, with bad lending practices in 2007, 2008. But if we go back and look at those charts, they're already, they return very quickly.
yeah.
And so we did that lunch and learn. So we'd invite, investors to that, and title companies and lenders. And that has been a really great way for us to meet people and build trust and build a group, a network of people that we can rely on. And the first time home buyers, they want somebody that can explain the process and feel trusting that this person has done this before and they're going to take care of me like they're going to take care of themselves. Because you better believe I'm not losing any earnest money, and I'm going to treat you the same way as a client. You're like, as a first-time home buyer, you're like, what's earnest money? A lot of people have never even heard of that word. What does it even mean? What's your earnest? Like, it's your good faith that you're going to come to closing. It's not a deposit. You're putting up a little bit of skin in the game. You're putting some money in the machine. And so, we like getting earnest money sent to title companies, because that means you got a property under contract and you better get it done within 3 calendar days. And so, first time home buyers as realtors, I'd love to hyper localize my business. I'd like to stay in, Plano, Richardson, and, Frisco, McKinney, but I'm all over the place. You've seen me. I do a lot of farm and ranch. I love going out in the country. I love it.
Yeah,
Look at this smile. I love just hitting that old dirt road and going and
yeah.
talking to the salt of the earth people who, they've owned this land for their family's land, and eventually they're going to sell it, and people sell it. And you look at people who want to go out there and buy stuff for like recreational purposes, or they're just buying for the future. Think about all the people that, bought up all along 75 and Dallas North Tollway. That growth is just going out, out that direction. I think the growth is going to grow more, obviously, Sherman and Fannin County, because of all the new lakes that they're building out there. And so I love paying attention to that infrastructure that is most important to us. You and I both have been sick. And so we know, like, air is the most important thing for us. Like, if you've ever, been somewhere where it's, smoggy, like air. But then and the other thing is water. So like water, people need water. And after that, we need food. So, a lot of people are wanting to grow out. They want to get out of the city. They want to grow out that northeast corridor where it's going to be a lot of nature and beauty. And that's what I look forward to, is the springtime, getting out in the sun, take advantage of that opportunity when the sun does shine. So we've got a couple
Well, let's talk about that. I kind
more
of
weeks
follow
of winter.
investors. Yeah, I kind of follow investors when it comes to real estate. So for the longest time, investors weren't buying anything in 2024. They just kind of stopped because rates kind of spiked and stuff like that. What we've seen is now they're coming back and starting to buy it again. So is that a sign that real estate's about to start picking up? Because
That's what That's what I told people during the lunch and learn every week last year. And I was like, if you're wondering, when the bubble is, like if there was any predictors of anything, like we're in it right now. Like this is the bubble. If you're hoping to get a good deal, like as interest rates have gone up, now is your chance to try to score something good. And going back to the owner occupied first time home loan, I'm seeing tons of seller concessions maxed out, like 6%. 6% for FHA and sellers are paying those concessions right now, but values are still holding, and so, but we're getting these concessions, we're getting lots of repairs done, but investors, David, the ones that were buying last year, they were paying cash. They didn't care.
Yeah.
They were buying with cash and they're hoping that interest rates are going to come down. So they're going to refinance. And so, but yeah, I told every single person that walked through the door of the Pancake House, if you're looking for the bubble, this is it. Interest rates are going. You can, right now, what happens? Is it going to get worse? Are they going to go to 8 to 10%? What would that do to values? Is it going to come down? I think it's, if you look at the Fed dot plot, and I don't know if you check that out. If you're new to this and you're like, what the heck is that? That's a good place to start, as a Fed dot plot. Projections of what the future is going to be, and it's going down. So, we stick with it and buy what you can afford, buy what makes sense as an investment, and add some real estate to your portfolio.
So you said earlier you get a lot of first-time home buyers and stuff like that. How are you getting your leads? Are you purchasing them on Zillow or anything like that, or everything you do is organic?
Yeah, so we started off heavy in Zillow from the beginning, and phased off of that a little bit, and we still do a little bit with Zillow. I tell myself, if you're gonna go organic, you got to go get the Google business page, and so like efforts spent on your brand and your business versus just paying someone to give you a lead is very important. But we have seen great ROIs on our investments with companies that provide us with marketing and leads. And if you can convert them to a buyer broker rep agreement, I've always done that through my whole career. It was not new to me having to get a buyer broker rep agreement, because I wouldn't drive to go show you it unless I know you're serious and you know what we're getting into. If you're not going to sign that, you're probably not going to sign a contract.
Right.
And so, so more organic now. I would love to see more referrals from people who, have a friend who, needs to buy a house, or a coworker. And I hope you think of me, Jeff McKee, as the realtor for that, because we'll take care of them. And we have so many great reviews from past clients that are first-time home buyers that are like, he made the process so easy. Within a week, we were under contract and feeling so comfortable, found the house so quick. And others are like, he was so patient with us, and we looked at so many houses, and he stuck with it. And that's what I would love to see more of, is those referrals. But yeah, right now, what we have in escrow are 2 are from referrals. They're not from paid leads. So that's awesome. That's what we want to see, is the shift in the business. And you have to make sacrifices by getting rid of what's comfortable. But I tell you what, those leads are expensive. It's a lot nicer when you don't have, a $6,000 credit card bill for your business every month, because you're not paying for those leads anymore. It's a little different mental shift.
Absolutely.
But guys, if you're starting off as a realtor in this business, and the brokerage I'm with is EXP, find somebody who's been in the business long enough that has a support system in place. I've got over 10,000 leads in my database. I can't call them all. They're looking at properties all the time. Find somebody that you can work with, a brokerage, and you don't have to go get those $5,000 credit card bills. You shouldn't. But sometimes that's what it takes in business, is to go all in. And we're going all in on organic growth. And hopefully from this podcast, thank you, David, so much for having me on.
Absolutely.
We'll get some more grass from that. And one thing we are working on is a real estate newsletter to go along with another list of newsletters that we have. It's an check out the website or send us your email. It's selectionsandtiming.com. But we're going to add a real estate newsletter to that. Fun stuff like how to redo your chimney on your house, and DIY stuff, and all the fun stuff like what's the best thing to cook when you've got a cough that keeps lingering. And man, I'm a big cook. I love to cook. I cook a lot with stuff that I kill myself. So I'm a big hunter and gatherer, and I believe that's important in life. And so we just made some delicious venison soup with some fresh ginger and turmeric, and that's got me feeling really good. So we'll put that as a recipe in one of our newsletters. Y'all can check and look for that.
That's awesome. Well, Jeff, man, I know you're sick. I'm not feeling up to it either, but and I know you have clients you got to go see a little bit later.
3 o'clock appointment.
Yeah. What do we not talk about that we should have talked about today?
That is a great question. What is everybody doing for their, we talked a lot about money and buying a house is expensive, and what is everybody doing for their, spiritual growth? It is Valentine's Day, so what are you doing to open up your heart a little bit and to, be willing to give and receive some more love today? What is it that people are doing out there for that? And one thing I love to do is volunteer. I love to volunteer for with the city of Plano. It's where I'm born and raised. And so giving back and doing the different festivals around the city are great. If you're new to North Texas, check out some of those festivals that are in like the downtown areas. I think that that feeling of like downtown is something that people miss because we're so isolated to our phones and our computers, and like we were supposed to be in person today and we didn't. But like meeting and gathering with people and sharing a meal, I hope everybody does something like that this weekend that's special with the people that you love.
I agree. And we are going to meet. We just don't want to get each other more sick.
So thank God for technology too.
Exactly. So, if I'm someone that wants to find you, and I know they do out there because you're a great realtor, how do they find you?
Yeah.
How do they get hold of you?
Check us out on Instagram at the McKee Realty Team. You can follow me personally at Thanks in Advance Jeff. You can send me a message. Let's see. We got a new smart number, so that's really cool. If you want to reach out to us, call the number 469-252-8469 and let me know what that smart number does, because this is new. Like as a business owner, you got to experience different things to help you as your business. And like, I know y'all get a lot of calls and I want y'all to call me, but we get a lot of calls over here. And so we're going to start channeling some of that through there. And hopefully that's going to help our business a little bit better too. So check that number out. Again, if y'all want to reach me, Jeff McKee, here to serve your real estate needs. Check out our Google business page, McKee Realty Team. And send that to your friends and family. We help tenants. We love helping people that are, we just want to lease a place for a little while and then we'll talk about buying. So yeah, send us your tenants, and best of luck to everybody this year.
Well, and if you're watching this live, you saw that go across the lower thirds. And if I'm looking for real estate in the Dallas-Fort Worth, really Plano, Frisco, he's everywhere. There's only one person I'd call, and that's Jeff McKee at the McKee Real Estate Team. Well, I'm your host, David Wynn. I'm with the Mortgage Edge podcast. Thanks for being with us today. Have a great weekend.